to the latest episode of the Lisa Pezik Show. I am so honored and excited today to have just one of my most favorite people on this planet to be on my podcast today. Today, I'm going to tell you why. Today, I've got Ashley Wood with me. She is Oliver. Some of you know our little guy. She is his martial arts instructor. Her and her husband, Gord, run this amazing martial arts school that gives kids confidence in not just martial arts. It stems over into how they're being in this world, how they're interacting with their teachers and their friends and mom and dad and each other. And I can say that Oliver has grown so much as a little human being, a little man, from being at their school. So Ashley, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. And she is an 8-time NASKA World Champion. So if you were like in a dark alley and someone was going to start something with you, this is somebody you would want in your corner because she kicks butt. She's fierce. I've seen the, images and videos of you kicking butt when you compete. You take no names and, mean business, and it's crazy. But I love that you say you're a mom and an instructor, and that is the most important thing to you. Tell me a bit about that. Why is being a mom and instructor more important than your 8-time world champion martial arts craziness?
World championships they're just world championships. It's done by just working hard, and that's kind of something anybody can do. Anybody can work hard and buckle down and earn an award, so to speak. But to be a mom, to be an instructor, you have influence on people's lives. That's why that is more important. I don't know. My son means obviously the world to me, and martial arts means the world to me. So awards are awards. It's nice to have, don't get me wrong. Something that I always wanted to achieve, but yeah, being a mom and being an instructor gives me the opportunity to touch so many different people's lives in different ways. And not everybody is able to do that. So I do for that opportunity.
Yeah. And you're so good at it. I know we were talking before about this, but you never know if you're having a rough day. I was going to tell them Ashley has like this mega sized kidney stone right now as we're filming this episode. And you would never know that she has this feels like a knife is jabbing her in the side and nauseousness. And you would never know because the way she treats the kids is so consistent. And that's something I know that me as an adult who takes the class and my 6-year-old who takes the class, it's so nice to be around someone who is consistent and you know what you're going to get. And that stable footing is so key, especially for our kids these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, influence. So tell me, you hear that you're this 8-time NASKA World Champion, probably have been doing karate since you were, when did you start karate? What age?
I actually started what I consider kind of late. I was 8 when I started karate.
Okay.
So
how did you get into it? Yeah. Tell me about that.
So my whole life, my life goal was to become a Ninja Turtle. Nice. I was obsessed with Ninja Turtles since I was little. And I told my parents, my dream in life, my goal is to become a Ninja Turtle. So my parents, of course, helped me embark on my journey of becoming a Ninja Turtle.
Did you have a specific one you wanted to be, or it didn't matter?
Yeah, at the time I wanted to be Michelangelo, the nunchuck, swinging, pizza eating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I kind of am now, to be honest. We were at a parade, at our local town parade, and I got a flyer for martial arts. And I turned to my dad and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And my dad's like, I think we need to do it. So we went there, I think literally the next week, and I kind of started and never looked back. It was, it was like, I know as soon as I walked in the door, I was like, this is where I belong.
Oh,
yeah.
And was that the same? I mean, you come from a supportive home. You wanted to add this, curricular activity on. Was it like that at school?
No. When I went to school, oddly, you can't tell right now, but I am like a strawberry blonde, like kind of a reddy hair color. And I got picked on. I'm small, I'm short. So I got picked on for being short. So I got bullied a lot. I had no confidence. At home, I was a different kid. When I went to school, I fought every day. I hated going to daycare when I was like 3 and 4. I hated going to school. I did well in school, but there was a couple of main bullies that I had to deal with. So when I went to karate, I could be myself. I remember, being in karate class and people would go, okay, grab a partner. Sensei would go, grab a partner. And like 4 people would run over, Ashley, you want to be my partner? And I'd look around like, who, me? The kid that nobody wants to be near at karate, or at school, excuse me. And at karate, everybody thought I was this awesome, amazing person. And I think that's why I found my home there. I felt like I could be myself. I could, be silly and goofy and still make these friendships. And I kind of felt like, what? Here's my happy place. I can go to it and people love me for who I am and not have to worry about fitting in like everybody else. So it became my home. School bus driver used to drop me off at the karate school after school because that was where I loved to be.
Wow. And your parents were just like, of course, they were like, do it, go if that makes you feel good.
Yeah. So my dad took martial arts when he was younger. My parents were really young when they had me. So when I was I think I was like 16, 17. And I remember thanking my mom and dad. I go like, thank you so much for letting me do karate my whole life and all these sports and activities. And my parents like, we wanted you to be in something to keep you out of trouble.
Yeah.
I had like the most amazing parents. They're like, no, like you started karate. You clearly had a passion for it. You were good at it. So we just kept pushing you. You want to do it? Let's do it. So my parents, obviously wouldn't, with my parents and actually my grandma who, unfortunately, like yesterday was her birthday. She ended up back in the hospital yesterday, which kind of stinks. But without my grandma, I wouldn't be taking karate. My parents couldn't afford it at the time. So my grandmother paid for karate because it was just a phase.
We'll see how that turned out.
Yeah, almost 30 years later. But so she actually started paying for my training. And my grandma was the reason why we opened our school. She was the financial support behind our martial arts school. So my grandmother were really, they were always there to kind of support me through everything. So.
Oh, I love that because you think a lot. I think a lot about legacy in my life and what legacies am I carrying on for my family and me being a parent, what kind of legacy, like what a beautiful thing for your grandma. Cause she probably had no idea that this was gonna, as you said, she thought it was just a phase, that this was gonna morph into this.
So my grandmother lived with us growing up. So we were always really, really close. And she saw me like want to become this Ninja Turtle. And my grandma was very much, and my parents too, is they knew that if I showed a passion for something, I was one of those very stubborn kids. Like I'm not one of those that I'm going to start and then stop something. Once I found kind of my thing, that they knew it was going to be there for life. My grandma was one of those, like, if you're going to commit to it, I'm happy to support you, whether it's financial or emotional or whatever.
Right.
If I was going to make the commitment, I always had my family behind me. It was kind of the way my family works.
Right. Now, did things change for you at school then when you started going to martial arts with those bullies and how you showed up at school?
Yeah. So at first it didn't. And I remember when I got my yellow belt, I never told people that I took karate. And when I got my yellow belt, my friend was all excited because her sister was training with me. And she went around and told everybody at school, like, Ashley does karate and she got her yellow belt and she's going to protect me from bullies. And that was like, actually, I got quite a backlash from the bullies. That's when they started going like, oh, you think you're tough and I can take you on. And I was kind of like, no, like, I don't want any trouble. I don't want to fight you. That's not what martial arts is about.
Yeah.
Martial arts is about kind of standing up for yourself and defending yourself if that time comes. And I will never forget the first day I actually had to kind of put my foot down. And there was this one bully. They took my hat off and my grandpa had just passed away. And he was the one that gave me that hat. The hat off my head and they threw it in a mud puddle. And then they came and they shoved me off some playing equipment. And that's when I remember that was my first day. I stood up, brushed myself off and I'm like, that's enough. I am done. and the kid came at me and I just like bopped him once in the nose, and everybody was kind of like, oh, all right. It's not the best story to kind of have, punching another child in the nose, but that was kind of the turning point for me. And that's when people started to really show a little bit different level of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, yeah, don't mess with her.
Yeah. I love, though, that you do, even with Oliver, who's 6, he knows that just because he knows how to do a proper side kick or a proper punch, that he's not going to get angry and go around just start punching and kicking people, or punching and kicking me and, Eric. And you've always instilled in them that martial arts is a tool if you need to use it, but it's not your first tool that you pull out of your toolbox.
Absolutely.
I love that, because I think that's a misconception too about martial arts, is that everybody's just like walking around ready to pick a fight because they're so tough, and and that's not at all what a martial artist character is, from what I get with what you teach at the school.
Absolutely. So the first thing you will learn when you walk in our school is how to bow. And bowing is a sign of respect. So our style started in Japan, as most martial arts styles did, where they don't shake hands when they greet somebody. They bow. And that's where that stems from. And the number one thing about martial arts is respect and treating others the way you want to be treated. So it's important for us, whether it's a bully situation or not, to teach our students, number one is to show respect. You be kind. If you don't like when somebody calls you a name, you don't do it to others. Mm-hmm. Like when somebody pushes you, punches you, kicks you, don't do it to other people. It's really that simple. And I wish more people in the world understood what respect is. And of course, in our bully program, we teach them, first we're gonna tell them, the bully, to stop or to stay back. We're going to do everything that we can. We're going to run away. We're going to tell a teacher. We're going to tell our parents. And our last resort is using our martial arts. So, funny, one of my favorite shows, but Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
That it really kind of portrays the wrong thing about martial arts, which I'm hoping in the next season changes. But it shows that martial arts is about fighting, and it almost crushes Gord and I when we hear parents go, well, I don't want my kid taking karate because I don't want them to learn to be aggressive and how to hurt people. Martial arts is nothing to do with that. Martial arts is the most passive, most kind, respectful, caring people that we know. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth. Martial arts is more about, I don't want to say we're like the peaceful people, but we are. Yeah. We're trying to do everything else and understand and care about people. The last thing we want to do is hurt anybody. We have the skills to hurt people, but we choose not to.
Right. It's like when I don't watch like UFC fighting, but whenever there's like a big fight and you see where they do the weigh-in, like the promo and the publicity, and then the two competitors have to go face to face. And there's always like one competitor that's like yapping in the other one's face and making this big like scene. And then there's always the other one, and he's kind of just going like, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the one that's going to kick the loud, like, who's going to win when you see that dynamic.
Yeah, we've actually trained with a lot of UFC fighters, and we know, of course, a lot about Ultimate Fighting. And the funny thing about that is I wouldn't define a good portion of those athletes. I would call them an athlete. I wouldn't call them a martial artist. So two of our favorite UFC fighters, Lyoto Machida, and one of our top faves, George St. Pierre, who is Canadian. They're martial artists at heart. And if you see the respect that they have walking into that ring for their competitor, they're a martial artist. When you get these guys who, you learn jiu-jitsu, you learn boxing, you learn these type of things. You're an athlete first because your job is to fight in this ring, where the other guys grew up as a martial artist, showing that level of respect. So yes, they do that for money, but they're a martial artist. The other guys are just athletes. So it's kind of funny you bring that up. You can really see the difference in, we always say, we always not joke to our students. We tell our students, like, if I were to go to somebody's school and walk in the room, I should be able to point out who is a martial artist by how they act, how they behave, how they focus.
Yes.
And that's kind of our top thing in karate. Like, we should be able to see that who is the kind one, who is the focused one, and know that that's a martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
The qualities that they portray, I guess.
And it's who they are, what kind of energy and focus they bring to even the room that they're in. Because I can remember right after Oliver started martial arts, he went to a birthday party. One of his friends, this was back when we could get all together before, this time last year. And the kids were like, I don't know if it was the sugar from the cake, but it was like next level bonkers. And the kids literally started stripping. So for no apparent reason, they just started stripping off their shirts and like winging. I felt like I was like watching a college like frat, like I was like, what? They're standing on the picnic tables. And I was like, oh my God. And then there's Oliver. So they were all on the picnic tables. And all these kids are whipping their shirts and jumping. And Oliver's just like sitting there eating his cake. He's just like taking a bite and he's looking at me. And I'm like kind of looking at him. And even the kids were like, Oliver, like take off your shirt. And he was like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. And I was like, see, like to me, that was the lesson that I was like, okay, this kid is starting to learn about life and respect. And there's so many times that you as a parent can say it, but when they learn that lesson from an outsider, like you, or not outsider, outside of the family unit, when a teacher or a coach or a mentor or a sensei can say that to them, it sticks about their focus and their discipline and their kindness.
And it really, like, our job as instructors, we take it very seriously. We don't think that we are people who just teach karate. Our goal is to teach life qualities. That's the number one thing. So we always kind of say, like, if we get a parent who, my kid doesn't want to do karate anymore. Well, first off, your kid shouldn't have that decision, because if I let my kid choose, he wouldn't do school anymore either. He doesn't get that choice. As a parent, we know what's good for our children and what's not. But what's important for us when we're teaching those life qualities, respect, discipline, focus, that it gets followed up at home. And I think nowadays, sometimes parents I don't want to say they don't have time for their kids, but there are a lot of people who spend time doing other things rather than focusing on those qualities. So our job is to, I will tell Oliver, be focused, be respectful, be this. And then he goes, oh, wait a minute. My mom and dad have been telling me the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, my mom and dad are right. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
To kind of mend or blend with a family and help them. I don't want to say raise the best kid, because we do obviously teach adults as well, but to help that child understand, like, hey, you know what, these are the proper qualities. And that's how we've talked before, we are the foundation, we're the roots to let that kid grow to be the best tree that they can be.
Yeah.
We really need, both the instructor and the parent have to be on the same kind of page for that.
Yeah. And I love how martial arts really is a no judgment place. I even remember when you were teaching about bullying and you were talking about kids being left out. So not so much the physical bullying, but the emotional bullying and the social bullying. And I remember you were saying, yeah, you should, say that's not cool or whatever. But then what should you do to the bully? You're like, should you invite them to come? Like you say, that's cool. I'm going to go over and play with, Joe or Sally. But do you want to come and play? And I thought that was such an interesting flip on being kind to the bully. I could see Oliver's wheels turning, like when you said that. And I think about those bullies that took off your hat and pushed you in the mud. Like, if you could go back now and say something to them, or like, how do you feel about now being an adult and knowing the reason why people turn into bullies? Is there any message there? Anything you would say to those kids?
To the kids are hard because they're kids. I mean, I love my son and I know he's not perfect. I know that he's probably called somebody a name. So what I would probably rather do is teach the parents that there's no good kids and bad kids. Often the kid that maybe calls your child a name, maybe their life at home isn't great. Maybe they're getting bullied by another bully at school or a sibling at home. Bullies are not bad people. they make silly choices, not the smartest choices sometimes. And as martial artists, I want our students to understand it's almost our job, yes, to be respectful, but to kind of teach them, hey, guess what, bully? Calling somebody a name or leaving them out of the soccer game, that's not the right thing to do, because maybe that child has never been told that before. Maybe that child just doesn't know, hey, you know what? That was mean of me to leave out Billy. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? They're being nice enough to invite me. Sometimes I think it's the child that just needs that education, that feeling like they fit in. Often I find bullies are the people who are left out the most, which is why they become angry or upset. They're children.
Yeah.
They are children, and children are a reflection of their environment and the people that they are around. So if my student can be the light for that bully, for me, the person who did that when I was a kid, when I finally stood up to them, I actually went, my mom made me walk to their house, to her house. They lived down the street from me, and go to their house and apologize for what I had done to their daughter and say why they did it. So I went to their house and I said, I'm really sorry. Her name was Danielle. I'm really sorry that I punched Danielle. She's been bullying me and I had enough of it. And thankfully her parents turned around and go, what do you mean my daughter has been a bully? Because a lot of people don't know. And we actually became friends after that incident, because Danielle, her reason why she was so mean to me is I was close with the other neighborhood kids and she wasn't. She felt that she was left out. And she targeted me. She said, your fault that you're playing with all these kids and I don't have that. So she targeted me. And after that, we were all one big group of happy friends. So going back in time, I wouldn't, I would say, like I teach my kids, my students, like you might be that change in somebody's life.
Yeah.
Everybody has a bad week, a bad day. Maybe their life isn't as great as yours. And it doesn't make bullying right. That's not what I'm saying. It's never right to call somebody a name or be mean, but sometimes they really just don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to teach my students to look on the more positive side. Don't think of them as this like big evil villain. They're not. Right. They're like you and me, and sometimes they need that hand to grasp. They need that foundation that we have as martial artists. Often they're missing that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was kind of long-winded, but
no, you notice I was just soaking that up. Like that's such a good lesson. I mean, even as adults, we've been around people who are snarky or don't treat us so kindly, or people that you just don't jive with, or people that you feel like they have it out for you. And everybody has a story. Everybody, like you said, everybody has something they're going through or something they're dealing with. And we don't know why they're acting out that way, right?
Well, funny you say that. Our message last week, or not last week was Halloween, but the week before, we talked about if somebody came up to you and they were angry or they had their fists up, how would you react? And of course, everybody answers, well, I'd either put my fists up or I'd tell them to stay back. And I said, what if somebody came up to you and maybe not during COVID, but went to shake your hand or, hey, I'm so-and-so, nice to meet you. You right away, your reaction would be kind and caring. But what if that person who came up to you all angry with their hands up, rather than, taking a stand back, what if you were the one to go, hi, I'm Ashley, nice to meet you? How would that change their whole demeanor?
Yeah.
Why? Because people do have bad days. And if we constantly judge a book by the cover, if you've seen me on one of my bad days, you would look at me and go like, I'm not training with her.
Right.
But you didn't give me the chance to get to know me.
Mm-hmm.
It's important that both our adult students and our kid students know that, we need to approach things maybe different than everybody else would.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love that. That's honestly, when I tell people how much I love that Oliver comes to your school, it's like 70% the message and like 30% the actual physical, because the kids love, like you were teaching them the dragon whip kick, and he just loves to look cool. I mean, of course, right? They're kids. They love to do the cool tricks and learn the techniques, but it's just the messaging Because at his age, I mean, he's 6, and what chances?
He just turned 6.
Just turned 6, right? They're such sponges. And there's even science that 7 and under, they're just soaking up every interaction, every message, every gesture, everything, that they're just so moldable at this age, that I love that he has that positive, from the bullying to, so your school's called Evolution Martial Arts.
Yes.
I love that. And I have my take on that, but I'll let you tell them your take. I love that there's so much that you teach. Like, people always ask me, oh, you do martial arts, what kind? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I do like a little bit of everything. I'm like, they do for the kids, I'm like, they do the bullying, and then they do the abduction-proofing, and then they do the technique. And I'm like, in the adults, we do a little bit of like, this and that and that. And they're like, huh? So tell them about how that came about. Tell them what you do for the kids. Let's start there. So tell them how you structure the curriculum kind of for the kids, or what the kids get.
Okay, so first off, thank you for calling us a school. A lot of people call us a club. We are not a club. We are a school. We're a place of learning.
Yes.
We are, the way we describe ourselves as instructors, I am not a karate instructor. Yes, I am, but we look at ourselves, we teach life skills through martial arts. Taking those life skills that your mom and dad always teach you how to be a good person, right? We teach you that. And then we throw in some karate moves because, again, it's cool, right? It's physical, it's fitness, it's fun, it's cool. But our underlying, which we love because the kids don't always get it. The kids look at, hey, I know cool karate. But then as a parent and as an instructor, our goal is, when I did last night with Oliver's class, okay, I'm going to put a cool song on, show me your coolest karate moves. But when I pause the music, you have to freeze. So they're going, I'm doing cool karate moves, and we're teaching them, but now you have to focus.
Yes.
Right? So we try to connect to those. So for our kids, we really focus on our life skills first through martial arts, so they don't really know they're getting it.
Right.
If that makes sense, because if you're going to go to a place that you learn respect and focus and discipline, they'd be like, boring. Yeah. We teach it in a fun, cool way. And what we do for them is a modern style of martial arts. So basically for the little guys, it's just about having fun. You don't really have to be perfect at anything. Are you trying hard? Are you giving 100%? That's what matters. Because over time, you're going to learn how to do a proper palm heel strike or a proper punch. I can teach you that. What I can't teach you is effort. I can't teach you, how to really give your best. So that's really what we look for in the little guys. As for style, those guys do kind of, like any of our students, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
It's important that they get, bully proofing, abduction proofing, some modern karate, some traditional karate, some ground defenses. They get everything mixed in.
Now, is abduction proofing, is that normal in martial arts schools? That's kind of
in good schools, I would say yes, because we don't like to, we don't like to say that our society is perfect. And unfortunately, if we teach kids that everybody is nice and everything, we're lying to them. So we try to teach them, abduction proofing is just like our way of saying it, stranger danger.
Right.
Teaching them in an appropriate child learning way. So we give them code names to make it easy for the child to remember. The gift giver tries to trick you by giving you gifts because they need to be aware. They need to be aware that not everybody is like, mom or dad or my best friend's parents. It's rare, but I'd rather my student be safe than sorry. I'd rather them be prepared for it. As a parent, I hate to think, that could happen to my child, but it's out there, unfortunately. So it is important that all of our students, from 3 all the way up to even the adult class, we teach them abduction proofing because it is separate from bullies. And it's separate from it doesn't matter how awesome Oliver's sidekick is in karate. It's not going to work against a stranger. He has to use his mind first. Yes. So teaching them your mind comes first over your physical techniques is important for them to know. So
I remember asking Oliver, do you learn this at school? And he's like, no. And I'm like, wow. Like, it just kind of struck me that, like, just, I don't know, that curriculum, exactly like you said, it's you never want to know that your kid could ever be in that scenario. But I feel like that's just such a message that kids need to know. And it's not always the stranger sometimes. The biggest part of that message that jumped out when you taught them, when you were like, hey, if I'm like, oh, hey, Oliver, you know me, I'm Sensei Ashley. Can you help me go grab these boxes from my car? Can you come with me? And, when he was like first learning at 4, he was like shaking his head like, oh, yes, right? And then you're like, no, right? That the line of you can't go anywhere you can't go anywhere. You can't go.
We never go anywhere with anyone without our parents' permission.
Thank you. Exactly. And like, that was huge because sadly, a lot of times not great situations happen with family members, friends of the family, other parents.
It's more common than what we would call a stranger.
Right. Like, I think the kids learn stranger danger at school and they learn that, but they don't always learn that people they know could potentially harm them. Right.
Yeah. I mean, we have, of course, like you already had me say, our number one rule, but I mean, our stranger or abduction-proofing covers, we actually got it from a guy we trained with years ago out of the US, and he's an amazing martial artist. And he came up with this. He calls it the steel-proof masters, and that's what we use at our school. And it's the idea of, we're teaching about strangers that nobody you ever know, but know that we have the definition of a stranger, and the definition of a stranger is anyone you don't know, even if you've seen them before. So if you have the same person walk their dog past your house every single day, you wave to them, you say hi, they're still a stranger to you.
Right.
The kids that, you know what? You do talk to strangers. If you go to Walmart and you say hi to the person behind the counter, you're talking to a stranger.
Yeah.
And knowing that, like, that's okay. We don't go with the stranger. When it comes to, I don't want to get into like the nitty gritty, but that's the thing is nobody wants to teach their child the evils of this world. And we cannot lie to them about that because we're not doing them any justice by lying to them. We need them to know that, hey, you know what? It might be your best friend's uncle who wants you to, play a game that you don't feel comfortable playing. And it's okay for you to say no to an adult.
Yeah.
Give them that confidence and that power to do so. Because you know what? A lot of them are just like, oh, no, you don't want to teach them that. Oh no, you can't tell them that. No, you have to tell them.
Yes.
Believe highly in honesty with our children, honesty with all of our students. If any martial arts instructor says to you, this self-defense will work 100% of the time, they're lying to you.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're not perfect as martial arts instructors. I'm not perfect. And if you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I'll be honest with you. I don't know. And I'll try to find out for you. But I think honesty is huge. I think,
Yeah. And it's even what I love about it is their own body awareness, what they like and what they don't like. I remember Eric's mom telling me, grandma, that the one time Papa was poking Oliver or doing something, like trying to be silly. And he was like poking him or tickling him or doing something. And she said, Oliver looked right at him and said, Papa, I don't like when you do that to me. Please don't do that. Like in my day and age, like you couldn't say that, or the way I was, parented, you were never allowed to say that. You had to hug Aunt Sally and Uncle Joe and anybody could touch you. And, it's like, I like that karate gives them that awareness to say, I'm not comfortable with you doing that. Please don't do that. Or they get that awareness of their own body and what they
and
like.
And the confidence.
Yeah.
To say that because what bothers me is back when we grew up. Yeah. Like I remember all my grandma's friends and it's like, you don't call them by their first name. It's, Mrs. McNabb, that's the way you call them. But back in the day, adults were here and children were down here.
Yes.
Our personal thought is children deserve to be treated like we are. Maybe not in the same language that we use or anything, but children should be on the same level as an adult.
Yeah.
They're learning, absolutely, and growing. They need to learn to be responsible for their words and their actions. But at the same time, they need to be able to have, you know what? If you don't like when somebody's poking you, if it's an adult, and you have the right to say no. And adults need to learn to respect that.
Totally.
Right? Child is a person just like you and me. And the fact that kids need to build that confidence and understand, like, obviously you're not going to go like, no, teacher, I don't feel comfortable doing my homework.
Right.
It's going to have consequences. Absolutely. No, mom, I don't feel comfortable cleaning my room. Not going to go over well.
Right.
But when it comes to your physical being or somebody saying something to you, you have the right to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
To tell them to stop poking, to tell them to stop calling you a name. You know, children are humans just like us. They need to be treated accordingly. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. But that's the way we teach. The way I treat Oliver is the same way I'm going to treat you in class.
Yep.
It is and you know what? And I'm on that same level as you guys. I am not up here. I am a person like you. I am on that same level.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. So this is like a parenting how-to, like, not that we have all the answers and that we always do it right, but there's just so many lessons from martial arts and from you guys that we bring into our own family. And even the adult, you know, kids, it's like you can say, but they watch what you do. And listeners, for those of you that don't know, I do martial arts, and Oliver kind of bribed me into it because Ashley so quietly and, you know, coyly said, we're doing this parent special where you can do 3 months free. Tell your parents. And Oliver's like, my mom's going to do it. Because I was kind of casually saying, oh, that would be kind of cool. And I kind of need, like in the car, I was like, that might be fun. That turned into him raising his hand in class saying, my mom's going to do it. And well, parents, I thought, well, now what? Well, oh, sure, right? I'm like, okay, so I'm going to do it. And I'll tell you that as a human being, I've grown so much, stepping out of my comfort zone, doing things that scare me. But I couldn't find a more supportive community to do it in. I think I had this vision that black belts were like these crazy, mean, like gonna kick your butt. I'm so much better than you. Like I felt like there was this, because that's kind of the world I grew up in. Like I felt like there was this division of status when you're a certain belt. And I'll tell you that the black belts treat me no differently, being a orange, you know, advanced orange belt that I am right now. Everybody's so super supportive. And I personally love it. And I love it that Oliver and I do it together. And you do something really interesting, which I don't know if many schools do this, but we do self-defense. Yes. And that is the scariest and best part for me, because I hope to God I never have to use it, but I feel so empowered to know that if someone's coming at me with a gun or a knife or trying to choke me or something, I know how to protect myself and my family to the best of my ability. So how did that come into play in the adult curriculum? It's a mix of a whole bunch of stuff. So how did that come into play when you developed the adult program?
So we've trained in both traditional martial arts. We've trained in jiu-jitsu. We've trained in Krav Maga, Commando Krav Maga, kickboxing, you name it. We've done all different styles. And when we decided to open our school, we picked the word evolution because things are always changing. As we found out this year, especially with COVID, things change and we need to evolve and we need to adapt. And rather than picking one style of martial arts, we're combining everything that we love about each style. So we take what we love from traditional karate, what we love from modern karate, what we love from jiu-jitsu and Krav and all these different styles and combining it to kind of create our own so that everybody gets a little bit of something. For our adult class, we focus on reality self-defense. So yes, guns, knives, sticks. We don't start that till age 14 at our school. Yeah, and that's what we want it to be. We want it to be empowering, it is a little nerve-wracking sometimes. Again, for me, doing it for so long, I don't always see that. But yeah, it's something that we want, whether you're a white belt or a black belt, we want you to be able to be confident in defending yourself and your family. Obviously, everybody kind of has some schools, most schools don't do weapon defenses, I'll be honest. We combine it with ours because we do feel it's important. And our system is structured so that you're going to learn the most common attacks first. As you get higher up in belts, the least common attacks. So that's kind of the way we do it at our school. You were saying like we, those scary black belts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, our black belts, I couldn't say more things about them. They're kind, they're caring, they're supportive. And that's what we want our school to be. We often refer to our school as a family. And that's really what we want. We celebrate in each other's successes. We're there to help each other through our challenges, whether it be a martial arts thing or a life thing. We really try to be there for each other. It's important for us that our students know that the people, I say our black belts are very much like Gordon and I, the instructors, because we're almost, when you start karate, we almost kind of become like your karate mom and dad.
Yeah.
And whether you're 3 years old or you're an adult, we're there to kind of help you and guide you and believe in you. And sometimes you don't believe in yourself. I think for me, the scariest, I won't say scariest class, but the most challenging class for me to teach are not the little 3-year-olds, which people always are afraid of. Because as an adult, we always feel like this is me as an adult. I've grown up and I am here and that's who I will forever be. And we need to learn that that's not true. We can be so much more than what we give ourselves credit for. I didn't earn my world championships until I was 33 years old.
Wow.
There's time to learn and to grow and become, more than you ever expected. So when I walk into my adult class, I don't want to say I treat them like my children, but I'm there to constantly go, you know what, you can do it. I believe in you. You got this. Because we're often not told that. We're always told as an adult, you're an adult, fend for yourself.
Yeah.
I love when I get an adult student who just lets me go, like, give them like a squeeze on the shoulder and go like, you can do this. And that's why I feel like, I want to really build that adult program. I want people to know that, like, yeah, you know what? You didn't start when you were 8. You didn't start when you were 6. You started when you were 35, 36, 40.
Yeah.
Still improve yourself. You can become better. Mm-hmm. And you're doing it for Oliver because Oliver wants that cool mom who does karate, but you're learning through your development of your skills that you can do it. And now you're starting to do it for yourself.
Yes.
And it always usually starts with that kick in the butt from somebody.
Yep.
Learn that you're doing it for yourself. It changes you.
Mm-hmm.
And, for me, like I said, my dream, I always wanted to earn world championships. That was like, I'll never be able to do that. And it wasn't until Gord, my husband, just said like, you know what, it's time to make it happen. And I'm like, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. And he's like, look at you. He goes like, I am up behind you 100%. You can be a world champion. You got to work for it, but you can do it. And then I felt like a little kid again. I had something, I'm going to learn something new and I'm going to work hard. And that sense of accomplishment is huge. And as adults, we always feel like there's nothing more to accomplish. And it frustrates me as an instructor. And that's finally the hardest part is getting that adult in that room. And then once they learn that they have something to build on and to grow on, it's an amazing thing.
Oh, so we forget as adults how to give ourselves that grace.
Yeah.
Like that's what I find when I do it, because I never did martial arts. I never grew up with it. I don't know anybody that's done it until now. And the first time I'm whipping around, like Oliver got upset yesterday because he couldn't get his nunchucks right. And I'm like, buddy, I'm an adult and I go through the same thing as you. Yeah. We forget that it's new. It's a new skill. It's a new hand-eye coordination. It's a new way to move your body. It's a new mindset thing. And yeah, totally.
I think it's not just forgetting. It's not allowing ourselves. I think a lot of people brush things off because they think, oh, I can't do it. Or, they don't give themselves that time, that opportunity to learn and be, to do something different.
Yeah.
I think adults honestly need confidence more than children sometimes.
I agree.
Because once I don't want to say set in our ways, that's not the right way to think. We sometimes feel that way. There's more that we can do. Mm-hmm. We need to give ourselves the chance to be better.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We want our kids to set all these goals and achievements and accomplishments, and we're the same. Like you said, we're no different. Yep. We're here.
We're no different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, the way we look at it is a black belt is not something you earn. It's somebody that you become. Truly a journey. It is not, they're not just like a hop, skip, and a jump and, I've got my belt. It means more than that. It's you're like, oh, you're doing a good job. Keep it going. Keep that train going. You're doing it. From when I have a student go from their white belt to their black belt, we always say no two journeys are the same. They're not. We have different challenges. We have, different things, different ways we learn, different opportunities that are there for us. So not two journeys are the same, because it is who you become as a person. Martial arts is very individual. It's very much about growing yourself. So Oliver's black belt is going to be different and mean different than your black belt. Which is different from my black belt and Gord's black belt and, Sammy and Isadora and all these other people, right? Everybody's journey is different, and that's okay. To give yourself the opportunity to do that.
I love that so much. And that's one thing when I come into class, I think what keeps me coming is that I know that you're not testing me per se on the person next to me. You're testing me on, did I get better from the last stripe, from the last belt, from the last test? Well, am I showing improvement, and I'm only competing against myself? Yes, there are standards and things you have to get and know, of course, but I find you provide that place to be yourself, give yourself grace, push for something, and grow in a really supportive way.
We will never compare one student to another. We will have role models, and we will look up to. You want to be awesome at, commas like Sensei Chris, or you want to be, flipping around on a professional martial arts team like Sensei Gavin. We can look up to that, and we could admire and, want to be like that. But we never will compare one student to the other, which I think is sometimes the flaw in other things that we do. School, they're always being compared to one set standard, and we are not the same person, and we should not be on the same comparison. So I will teach you the same curriculum as I will teach another student, and they're both going to be different. It's the same curriculum, but it's different, and it's your different, right? And that's why as an instructor, we're given that opportunity to get to know you. So I know what you're capable of, and I know what your limits are, what I can push you to, just like I would any of my other students.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody's a bit different. I know I can be a little bit harder on some than others. Sensitive, some are more, they like that like hardcore demanding instructor, and they'll get that. Yes. But it's very individual. And I don't like when things just compare. If I have a row of apples, every apple is different.
Totally.
They're different in very, maybe slight different ways, but they're all different apples. Compare them from one to another.
I love that metaphor about the popcorn, how you put it in, but the kernels pop at different times, right?
Yeah.
We do. We see that as kids. We see that as adults. It's so true. So the future for you, so you guys are going to continue doing online, even when we're back to be like full, you guys have the in-person, socially distant. I mean, your school was already crazy with in a good way, with the infection control practices, with having Sensei Ashley and Sensei Gord have a little dude, Chance, who's got cystic fibrosis. He's a little warrior. He's the best. And so you were already very cognizant of germs and sicknesses and don't come to class when you're sick and all that kind of stuff, right? But are you going to continue with the online component?
We are hoping to. Right now, I stay home, obviously, to protect Chance, just to keep his risk down. CF. So right now, I'm exclusively online, and Gorda's exclusively at the school.
Yeah.
Usually, what we had done in the past is we would alternate days. So we each had our teaching days, and we each had our Chance days. It's a little different now. For the future, we find that a lot of people like the online learning. So yeah, absolutely. We hope in the future to continue to provide both in class and online. And the online, we really hope to expand across the world with seminars, with online programs, and offer. We've always considered ourselves, this little mom and pop. And I think it was probably 2014 was the first time we took our school to a world championship tournament. And this little mom and pop, nobody knows who we are school from Ancaster, Ontario, all of a sudden was like, Sensei, I got a world championship. And this person's going to be on stage. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, we're better than we think we are.
Oh, yes.
Maybe something that others don't. And that was our first kind of eye-opening experience because, we don't consider ourselves, we're by no means the best in the world. We're not, but people believe in us more than sometimes we believe in ourselves. And we've kind of had our eyes open in this last little bit from people like yourself and Eric, who have kind of, let us know, hey, you got more to offer than maybe you think you do.
Oh, yes.
So we do plan on, expanding our program and being able to share our knowledge with the world because we have a passion for it. And we feel we've got something to offer. And we finally kind of got that through our head that rather than focusing on our little community of Ancaster, we can share our knowledge and our passion with the world. And that's exciting to me because it's not about just having a business. It's bringing confidence to those kids who need it and the adults who need it and teaching abduction-proofing and bully-proofing and making really empowering people and giving them that opportunity to really believe in themselves. And that's a big thing for me. It's not just about karate and it's not just about business. It's about changing people's lives. And if I can do it to, the 150 people at my school, or I can do it to 150,000 people around the world, it's kind of crazy to think. I'm up for it. So we do want to do that.
Yes.
Into a computer near you.
Yes. And don't worry, listeners, I've already got the wheels turning. You will definitely be seeing programs from them. We are going to be working together. And I hope you just soaked this up and just really took those lessons and those gems that Ashley, I almost called you Sensei Ashley. It's just like, it's like just common thing for me to call you Sensei, right? But, it's funny. It's like Sensei at the school and then Ashley, my friend, when we're doing these kinds of things, right? But it's just, the way that you parent, the way that you teach, the way that you model. And it's so true. You have this humility and this humble nature to the way that you do it that is so inspiring. Like, I think as a parent, you always want to know that your kids, that where you send them or where they go is an extension of what you're teaching and your values. And that
what we call ourselves, say it.
Yeah.
We're family.
We are family.
You're an extension of your family. That's
you are an extension of the family. And Eric and I felt that from the first second that we stepped in the school and we knew we wanted Oliver there and we wanted to be a part of it. And I absolutely know that when it goes bigger, the other people are going to want to be a part of it because that's what helps us put our head, on the pillow and sleep good at night, to know that our kids are in the hands of you. Right. And you, Gord wasn't on this time, but I'll have to have you guys back on again.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I'll have to go back. I had you guys on earlier in the year and I got to have you on again. Husband and wife team that are just crushing it, and heart is in the right place. And that's what you want. You. So yes. So where can they find you though now with your programs and all your good stuff online?
Yeah. So right now, just our website, evolutionmartialarts.ca. You can take a look at all the different things that we offer on there. And then when we start up our online program, obviously we'll have a link right from the website to anything else we provide. But yeah, easy way to find us.
Awesome. Ashley, thank you so much for taking your time today. I know you've got to go. We're all going to be in class tonight with you later, so I'll be seeing you shortly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I always love talking to you as a friend, and thank you for thinking of me once again, and I appreciate everything that you do.
Awesome. And listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Lisa Pezik Show, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.